Yeah.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining. Sorry for the delay. We usually like to start on time, but my cameraman decided to put the camera on the handmade pasta that I made earlier. So I'm going to start by actually putting this in the oven. These happen to be cheesy garlic breadsticks, and I'm using the extra dough from the pasta. So the pasta that I'm making today is actually made from bread dough. I've never heard of this before, but in Italian it's called cecamariti, I think, and that is like husband blinders. It sounds really awful, but it's meant to be so dazzling that it would blind the husbands coming home with their wives making this. So in any case, what I realized when I compared the dough recipe to the pasta recipe, my pizza dough recipe to my pasta recipe, it's almost exactly the same. So it's basically 1.5 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of white wine, 1/3 cup of warm water, and 2 teaspoons of yeast, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Marina, I'll just send you the recipe, don't try to transcribe this. And then 2 tablespoons of olive oil and some honey. So you mix the liquids together first with the yeast, and you let them just sit for about 10 minutes. Then mix in the dough, knead the dough for 5 minutes, and then you let it rise for an hour. So I'm just using the extra dough because it is a pizza dough recipe and sticking it in the oven. So that hopefully these will be done by the time I've done everything else. And today happens to be a vegetarian show, maybe not on purpose, but it's turned into one, mostly because I have so much asparagus. Somehow in my organic delivery, I'm on asparagus this week, so I'm going to use that. One thing about asparagus is that if you want to get rid of or know where the toughness of the asparagus is, you can just naturally give it a break. And then you know this part is naturally quite tough. So if you have a whole bunch of asparagus, you would do this with 1 piece. Intentionally do it at the end. If you break it in the middle, obviously it will break. But at the end, and then you can cut your whole bunch and get rid of the spare asparagus. If you don't want to waste those ends, you will have to peel the top part off. So I'm just going to use 2-inch pieces for a pasta that I'm doing. And then I've actually grilled some other asparagus on my grill pan. And I had to do it ahead of time because a grill pan lets off a lot of smoke to the point where the building management actually comes up and like sits there and makes sure that I'm not burning the place down. So this is my grill pan that I use for steaks and to get the nice grill marks. Ideally, you can grill on charcoal, that would be the best. But in case of home cooking in a kitchen like this, I can. And then the other thing to finish off the asparagus Milanese, which is what I'm making here, is basically 2 eggs on very low heat in butter. So I'm gonna throw in a whole bunch of butter into the pan right now. We'll just do this really, really slowly while I start the pasta dish. So let the butter melt down a little bit, then I'll add the eggs. And we'll just cook the eggs really, really slowly so that they're perfectly runny. And that way when you cut into the yolk, it'll just like melt into the asparagus. This is one of my favorite dishes to do actually on the weekend because it feels a little crunchy with the eggs. You add a little bit of Parmesan at the end, and it's so easy. And for my KL cooking group, you guys have seen me make it before at Marina's place. Okay, so just letting the butter melt down, and this is really done over low heat. I've showed you before how I've done the wok fried egg, which is a Thai way of cooking things, and that's done over high heat. This is going to be a slow cook. So I'll let it go, and I'll get the other pan started, because then we want to start with the pasta. All right, so just adding, I'm going to mix. This is not really following a recipe per se. This actually, I'm making this for the first time. But I looked in my fridge and I thought, you know what? I've got a whole bunch of beautiful mushrooms, some lovely asparagus, and these would go really well together. I also have some ricotta that I figured I should probably use up. So that's why this recipe. So we'll see how it goes. Dave can be the final word on whether or not it's acceptable. A bit of olive oil. And what we'll want to do is we'll do the mushrooms first. I really feel that the best way to get everything out of your mushrooms is to really brown them, right? So you really want them to cook down to get some beautiful brownness, and then they have almost a different texture and a different taste. In terms of the mushrooms that I'm using here, I happen to have a bunch of portobello mushrooms. So this is just one portobello that I've cut up, some king oyster mushrooms, or some king mushrooms and some oyster mushrooms. So just all cut up. This is all from my organic vegetable box, and adding a little bit of salt. And as we can see with the eggs, they're starting to come up now, get a little bit more cooked, again slowly. Now, much like the wok fried egg, I am basting the top to try and gently cook the top. So that's why all the butter in the pan, because you need that extra fat, the hot fat, to get the egg cooked. And just have patience with it. It's, you know, we're not going anywhere anytime soon, so it's, if you want to keep the egg runny, then you'll just have to patiently tend to your egg. But the yolk, it essentially makes the sauce, right, for your asparagus Milanese. And you'll see on the stove also I've got some water here boiling, because then I'll be boiling my newly flattened pasta. I'll also show you how I roll out the pasta. But what I want to do is boil the pasta closer to when my sauce is ready. So I'm cooking down the mushrooms first. So the mushrooms, some of them are getting a bit brown. With the heat and a bit of the salt, they're starting to release some of their juices, which is great. Eggs are coming along. What I'm going to do is try and get my eggs on one side of the pan, but try and get the fat on one corner. Again, so I can get the fat hot enough to just cook the tops. We're almost there, actually. And these are organic eggs. And I think these ones I picked up at Sweet and Green in Bangkok. I really feel when it comes to dairy, so eggs and milk, it's really important to be choosy. You will notice a difference in flavor, and also it's healthier. Although recently my friend Lynn introduced me to some vegan cheese that's available in Bangkok in a place called Bear Foods, and it's absolutely delicious. It's made with cashews, actually. It's a really good snack for today. Okay, so the mushrooms are cooking down. Soon I'll be adding the asparagus, but we're getting to the point where I feel that the eggs are pretty much done. I'm just gonna give one more scoop of fat over, and then I will just transfer them gently on top of the asparagus, and then I'll be finishing this dish. So, our asparagus Milanese. Here we go. And what I like to do is add some Parmesan on top. And then a little bit of pepper. And then just to finish, you have some really, really good olive oil, this is the time to use it. And there you go, that's asparagus Milanese. So one way of doing asparagus, very simple. Did all of that just in a few minutes. And then now we're gonna add in our asparagus down. And you will have noticed that the mushrooms are practically maybe half the size or even less than that. So again, the asparagus is going to take a little while. At the same time, I'm going to add in some garlic. This is probably about 3 cloves. We like garlic in this house. And then let me just take a quick check on our breadsticks here. Oh yeah, breadsticks are done. So I'm going to let those come out and cool. I'll put them over here so you can get a good look. Don't put the camera on that, that would be hot. And on the breadsticks, the cheese is a mix of smoked mozzarella, only just because I have a little bit left, some cheddar, extra old cheddar, and some Gruyere. I find that especially the Gruyere for melting and getting like that beautiful crispy crust, it's just so good. All right, so now we've got asparagus, mushrooms, we have the garlic that's cooking down. This is the moment where I add a bit of white wine. And you know what? I think I'm going to add a bit of chili too, if I can find it. They did a little cleanup of the kitchen this morning, so I'm going to move it around a little bit, which is not a bad thing. All right, so a little bit of chili. And this is the point where I think I'm going to start cooking my pasta, because what I want to be able to do is take the pasta straight from the pan and straight from the pot and put it right into the sauce. I'm going to add salt to my pasta water, and then I'm hoping these pasta pieces are not going to stick together. They seem okay. They just need a few minutes. I'll just let those cook. And this is going to be much fluffier than your usual pasta, obviously, because it's made with bread dough. So you can already see there's sort of like these beautiful pillows. They're coming up. All you want to do is cook them so that you cook the flour. And you can continue to cook in the sauce. So even if you undercook it, that's not a bad thing with fresh pasta, because if you throw it in sauce and continue to cook it in the sauce, it will cook naturally. And I know Dave's kind of looking at the pasta like, I've never had pasta like this. What are you trying to feed me, woman? But that's what's going to happen today. Okay, so I'm going to add in some ricotta. If you don't want ricotta, I mean, cream would do. I just thought, you know, we had ricotta in our kitchen, so I felt it would go really well to create a creaminess. So the ricotta is mixing up with all the juices. I will use some of the pasta sauce too to mix in. And I'm gonna take a quick taste of the pasta. It's got like, it does have good, like there's a bread flavor, so you have that yeasty flavor, which is really interesting. And of course, all the pieces are hand rolled, so they're all different. What's interesting is they start to deflate a bit as you take them out of the water. And then we will continue to cook them down into this sauce so that they absorb some of the sauce. So now what I'm going to do is grab just a scoop of the pasta water and add that into the sauce. Turn off this. And then we'll let the pasta absorb some of this sauce with the asparagus and the mushroom. Obviously, I'm going to want to give this a taste just to make sure the seasonings are okay. Oh my God, that's so good. Okay, for a first-time recipe, I'm really, really happy with this. I'm going to keep the heat on for just a little bit while I show you how to make the pasta. So I reserved a piece of the dough. And all you're doing is rolling out on a surface a rope. And again, handmade pasta is beautiful because even if it's not uniform, that's okay, because then people know you actually made this yourself. All right, so you get a rope like this, and then you cut pieces. There we go. So just little pieces like this, and then using your hand, your fingers, you just roll like so. And depending on what you like, I mean, you can make them smaller or bigger, it's up to you. Just make sure when you're putting them on a board, a floured board, that they're not touching, because they will stick together, especially if you leave them for a little bit, because there's yeast in the recipe, so they will expand a bit more. And if you have a tea towel on them, then make sure you let your husband know that there's pasta underneath there. Okay, finally this is done. We're good. I'm just going to turn this off and add some pepper. And I think when we eat this, we will add a bit more chili. For me, it's, you know, adding a pinch is not enough. That'll be one serving, and I will end with a little bit of Parmesan. There we go. I'll roll the rest of that out after, but what I want to do is put up the breadsticks so you can take a look. So all of that cheese has crusted up and gotten crispy. The other thing I did in the oven, which you probably didn't see, is I had a pizza stone in the oven so that the bottom would be really, really hot when I put the breadsticks in. It just helps to get them really crispy. And you can do this if you're not making hand-rolled pasta. You can just do this with extra pizza dough or pizza dough that you buy in the store. But it's just a great recipe, and I did this for the first time on the weekend because we were taking care of some kids and we were making homemade pizza, and I had some extra dough left. So for the afternoon snack, they got cheesy breadsticks. So that's pretty much the end of the demo. I hope you enjoyed. If you do have any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself, but just mute yourself after.